They wouldn't even open the window for me.
Alright, folks, we'll go ahead and get started here.
40 years ago.
I'd like to call to order the Lafayette Township
Time to
Board
go.
of Trustees and Fire District. Today's Monday, December 8th at 6:30 p.m. The notice requirements of section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code and the implementing rules adopted by the board pursuant thereto were complied with for the meeting. Roll call.
Paroli here.
O'Neill here. Fullerton here. Stand for the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First up, meeting minutes, pending approval. It's November 3rd. Questions, comments, changes? Motion to approve.
I don't have any questions or comments. I'll motion to approve November 3rd, 2025. Regular meeting minutes.
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. November 19th, special meeting.
I don't have any questions or comments on that one either.
Motion.
I'll motion to approve November 19th, 2025 special meeting minutes.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay, December 2nd, special meeting.
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll abstain, I wasn't present at that meeting.
All second. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Alright, fiscal report.
I don't have anything at this point, just reviewing the temporary probation, but you guys can do that and that's my review.
Yeah, or we can talk about it.
If you have any questions about it.
Yeah. Has everyone looked at the report? Everybody good with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Motion to approve the fiscal report.
Motion to approve fiscal report.
Second.
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Since she doesn't have anything to add, do you want to discuss the appropriations right now, temporary appropriations? We can come to an agreement and we can pass it tonight.
I mean, we are planning meeting again on the 30th, right?
Right.
To take yours and might as well, I'd like a little more time to look over them. I mean, I don't see anything that jumps out, but since we're meeting the 30th anyway.
Yeah, that's fine. We can do that. Service.
We do not have a service report for November. However, we've got three things that we should probably discuss. The first one, you might put the Meyer contract on?
I did, yeah.
We could talk about that, but then also, as we know, our service director, Rick Evans, is resigning as of this Friday, December 12th. And Dave Betts, the roadman, he is retiring as of December 31st this year. So, any questions or comments on that?
No, we've been getting a ton of inquiries. I don't even know how many, over 25 or so.
We're almost to 40 after this
It's
total,
just
right? So.
a bunch.
Mhm.
Justin, what's your opinion? You want to set it up a new date or
Well,
what do you think?
Yeah, we definitely need to get on that because, like Trustee O'Neill mentioned, we're gonna be down to just two this Friday. And then, as it stands right now, January 1, it'll just be then. So I don't know how, what your thoughts are on the process
I think it probably makes sense to hold a special meeting this week, towards the end of the week, review what applicants we have so far, and make a hire, whether that's a service director at this point, based on the applications.
Right.
I think it makes sense for us to establish a meeting date tonight for later in the week.
Okay, I'm good with that. The other thought I had is, I know we talked about it last week, posting the positions, and we've had a couple of people that have applied, knowing, since we had the meeting that Rick was, leaving, that the supervisor position is potentially open, and we've had a couple of applicants that have expressed interest in a supervisor only role. Do we wanna have, we should probably have Kristen update a second listing and actually officially, hire, like at least post the supervisor, cause right now we just have kind of a crew member. Should we do that? Cause I think if I understood what you're saying correctly, we wanna make a hire, whether it winds up being a replacement supervisor or just a member of the road crew, depending on what the applicants come in, but we should probably get that out there. You both okay with that?
Yeah. I'm fine with that.
We'll get that done tomorrow.
What do you wanna set up for this?
Well, I also think it'd be prudent to have the new trustees elect part-time.
I would agree.
Friday would be better for me.
Is the thought process to just be able to review the applicants and then
We should
take a step forward?
Probably leave it open. I mean, that evening we're down one person, so.
No, I know. I guess what I'm saying is, like, if we want to be able to interview people,
Yeah, I mean, we could look through what we have now, see if they're available on that date.
Yeah, I totally agree, but we gotta go through the list.
Yeah.
first.
That we have no choice but to make a quick decision.
well, let's, do we want to hold an executive session later? Can I go through some of the initial, I've got all of the applicants that we have
So far?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean,
Did you get
the resumes.
the one that I?
Yeah.
Oh,
So we can at least do a preliminary scan and see if there's anybody we do want to reach out to see if they can be here.
Right, and we can reach out to them individually in the meantime.
Okay, yeah. What day?
Like I said, Friday would be better for me. I could make you Thursday or Friday work.
What time?
Thursday's probably a bit tougher for me, so.
Friday,
And I'm good, pretty much. I can make anything work on Friday.
Chris?
Time-wise.
we could, maybe early afternoon. That way,
I'm good.
any of us can reach out to the applicants who might be interested.
Right.
And we can interview. 1 o'clock, Friday?
It's fine by me. Mr. Devonsky, are you both available 1 o'clock this Friday?
Yeah.
Christine, if you can put that notice out.
special.
And you still want to have an executive session?
I think we should probably have just a quick one, to potentially discuss, like I said, who we're gonna, if there's anybody we want to bring in on Friday.
Right, yeah, that sounds good.
You want to do that now, or you want to do it?
End of the evening.
End of the meeting.
Well, okay, I will then, I will make a motion to, accept Rick Evans' resignation as of December 12th, 2025.
We took it on Tuesday.
Did you? And a date as well?
Yeah, we did retirement, yeah.
So, just so we're clear, so the purpose of the special meeting is for holding interviews for the search. Is that what you want to say?
Discuss hiring and
Discuss
potentially.
hiring and possible interviews, okay.
It might be the best option is to say that any interview will be held in executive session. As part of the meeting notice.
Okay.
And did you have anything other than the Meyer?
Yeah.
So, and you guys are both copied on the email, but, we have the Meyer, the agreement that we've had with Meyer for using their snow plows, and, former trustee Warcola had reached out because it was time to renew the contract. But obviously, any contract that we're gonna enter into needs to be approved and signed, you know, under the authority of the board, and, it's, as best I could tell, you know, from research, it looks like this program goes back to 2007, but we had a difficult time locating any of the, former contracts. I don't know if you guys have seen or signed anything in the past, so I did reach out to the prosecutor's office and, the insurance company, had them review it for anything that they saw that looked like it was an issue. They both came back and said that there was no problem. In advance of that, because I wasn't sure if they'd be able to get to us, because Meyer, in order to continue to allow us to use the plows free of charge, wanted the agreement signed by the 15th of December. So I do have a resolution, I should have received a copy of it, that it also sent to the prosecutor's office, basically authorizing the signing of the agreement pending proper review and approval from the prosecutor's office and from the insurance company. And this is the same one that I had sent to you guys, and you have a copy of the contract there. The only adjustment is, Mark had texted, there's one, they're gonna be pulling one of the super blades, instead of having 3 super blades on site, it'll just be the one, 2. So there'll only be 5 plows instead of 6.
Okay. So we'll be mixing one.
Yeah, with the straight, he said the straight blade plow. So,
But he's pulling one super. Is that what he said?
the text actually says one of the straight blade plows. None of those are actually listed as such. So what I would recommend tonight is if you guys are both okay with the resolution essentially authorizes me to sign the contract once we get it done. I'll have Marty send over a new one, with the one, with the one taken off. And then once he does that, I'll sign it and we'll be set with that.
And resolution number.
2025-21, and I would make a motion to approve. You want me to read it, or?
Say what you
Yeah.
said earlier.
It's just a resolution authorizing participation in the Meyer Products LLC field test program subject to legal and insurance review.
I will second.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Roll call vote.
Parola, yes?
O'Neill, yes?
Fullerton, yes. Just so everyone understands, this plow contract, Myers basically donates plows to us, and we get to use it for free, which is awesome. We don't have to pay for it. We just have to write reviews on the plow every snow event for that year for that plow, just so they can get feedback for their research and development. So it does save the township quite a bit of money. I mean, we've been doing it for many, many years. So works out well. Alright, Chris, I thought you said you had 2 things on the codes.
Just add that, and then the 2 resignations of Rick
Okay, good.
retirement.
Okay, that's it for service then. So, fire, chief?
Good evening. We had 62 calls in the month of November. 41 were during the day, 21 at night. 3 in the city of Medina, 1 in Guilford Township, 15 in Lafayette Township, 2 in Mountville Township, 5 in Chippewa Lake, and 1 in Gloria Glens.
71% with EMS, and about 15% with fire calls. Our average turnout time is 2 minutes and 4 seconds, and our year-to-date is 1 minute and 53 seconds. And on-scene time of 6 minutes from time of call. We received mutual aid 3 times, and we gave mutual aid to the city of Medina 3 times, Montville Township twice, and Guilford Township 1 time. And a couple of things we've been doing, we had a society, the group homes in the area, came to visit the fire station on November 10th. We gave a tour of the station, showed our equipment, and provided lunch to the residents. We submitted for the EMS grant, equipment grant, and we received $3,746 back from the Ohio Division of EMS. We hopefully received that check soon. Stryker performed their annual preventive maintenance and all Stryker equipment in November. Engine 2 was in for service for an engine issue. The turbo actuator was replaced and it's back in service now. I would like to request to hire Justin Schultz. He's a firefighter EMT. He's a federal firefighter at the Youngstown Air Base. He's an active Air Force veteran, currently serving in the Air National Guard. He lives locally and he a valuable asset to our department. And 6 of our firefighters will be graduating paramedic school this Friday. This will bring our active roster of medics to 20. In 2020, just a note, in 2023 when I started, we had only about 7 paramedics working more than 3 shifts a month. Now we have 20 more days. And then I request to accept the resignation of Austin Bruckman. He served about 2 years. He's been out due to a hip issue. He recently returned and decided to get his resignation. So that's all I have.
Chief, have you done the whatever checks you normally do on Justin Schultz?
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. Background and security checks all done. He's got that done. So you share the invoice. And no other issues. He's actually on active duty orders right now, but he lives on Leah Lane, which is great. So he's got a lot of experience, so it'd be good to have.
I'll make the motion to hire Justin Schultz.
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
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 And then I'll make the motion to accept the resignation of Austin Bruckman.
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Chief. Police, Lieutenant?
I don't have anything in addition to the monthly report.
Nothing to add, okay. Zoning, there were 9 permits written in November, 4 lot splits and consolidations. Fees collected was $1,307.80. Estimated value at $808,750. Some miscellaneous things. Been working on a property on Coon Club. Some issues there. There's 4 properties that we're working on right now. Well, 3 that the township's working actively on, 2 of them on Westfield. We do have one of them, property on Egypt that was referred to the building department for assistance. One on Lafayette Road for the health department. And then actually that one was sent to the prosecutor's matrix civil portal for advisement. And then also Euclid Avenue, the same thing, was put on the matrix for help from the prosecutors on those cases. Total fees collected this year to date for zoning was $19,566, and the estimated value so far this year is $35,051,000. And that's all we got for zoning. And who put permit application?
Well, I put that on there, but real quick before we get to that, I did have 2 questions just on the zoning report. I know a couple of these we've been, working on for a while, so it's not like, they have immediate remedies, but it looks like the last update on the Coon Club was like mid-October. What, do we have like a next step, like, cause I know we had sent a letter to the resident and we haven't heard back, which isn't uncommon. So, you know, do you have an update on like kind of
No, I
where we go
don't.
next with that one?
No, I don't. I mean, if anyone's got any ideas, some of these, can get quite tricky, especially when they ignore it.
And then on the Egypt Road, I know the building department's working on it, but, Sherry had a note in here that there were junk vehicles. Is that something that we should, you know, what was the thought, do we wanna wait until the building department does what they're gonna do, or should we address the
I
junk vehicles
personally would
separately?
wait for the building department myself,
Okay.
and then address the vehicles afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right, there are junk vehicles, there's no question.
And then, just the last one I had is I know that, the Euclid Avenue has kind of been an ongoing thing for a while now. Is there anything from the prosecutor's office? Like, it just seems like it's probably something that's outside our scope of being able to address.
And that's why I had her put it in the matrix, because if we can't do anything for one or the other, it's really not a township issue.
Can the prosecutor's office even really do anything now, or?
They can send a letter to them, you know, I mean, showing representation, right? And say, hey,
I got you.
you guys gotta go.
Since they had their attorney reach out to us.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, and then the only thing I had on the application or permit process was, we've had a couple that have come in the last few months where it's been, I think they were both lot splits, where we accepted the split, and then we accepted the application for the lot split without it being complete and accompanied by payment. And I just wasn't sure, I think, cause like the last one we received was like, Sherry had asked us to sign the lot split, and then she was gonna part the check when we came back in, and I just wasn't sure if that was something that we
Was
really
that the
wanted to
one
do.
where it was signed and we had to fill it out or something, that check, that one?
No, well, there was that one earlier that was like a blank check that and that was a kind of a separate issue, but this last one was for,
The society.
society, and they dropped off the application without payment, and I just don't know, like, my thoughts are, we probably wanna make sure everything's complete before we accept it and do that, just because anytime you change the standard protocol, that's when cause normally we sign it and then they just come pick it up. You know, and on top of that, you know, if we sign a lot split and Sherry's not around, you know, Kristen doesn't necessarily always know, hasn't always been told what the process is, or not what the process is, but whether it's pending a payment or, you know. So I just think maybe,
That's a good point.
unless somebody disagrees, maybe we wanna kind of restate that we shouldn't be starting the process of any permits or applications until it's complete and payment
Yeah,
is made.
yeah, straight across.
Okay.
Absolutely, good. Good. And who put board appointments on?
I think that was Karen kind of had asked. I don't know how it got on. Like, I don't know if we necessarily put it on there, but we have obviously every year a board seat, both BZA and zoning commissioner up. And I guess the question was, what are your guys' thoughts on handling it, since it's for next year? In the past, we've always leaned on, you know, I mean, not always, but the last several years, we've leaned on both Karen and Sherry, and then representation from both boards to kind of do the initial screening and make recommendations to the board. You know, are you guys on board with that? And then also, are you looking to do the appointments before the end of the year? Do you want to defer to the organizational
I
meeting?
think they should be in January
Okay.
for next year, but I'm all for Karen and Sherry, whoever else you want.
Yeah, I think you guys did a great job.
Usually it's the chairperson of the board, so the
Based on
zoning
the-
commission chair, the BZA chair, and they have questions and then they'll send it to you guys, and definitely think that, you know, you'll have the opportunity also to meet and talk with the people.
Yeah, I would agree with Chris. I like that process. I think it's worked well.
In January? Okay, so then we'll do that. You guys can work on, getting the applicants all kind of
Got
vetted
We got,
and
what,
reviewed.
Four or five.
Yeah.
And if you start generating data or information on the candidates, maybe set a packet aside.
Yeah.
Yep. Will do.
And then to your question, then we'll make the appointments for both boards at the organizational meeting in January,
Okay,
barring some unforeseen
right.
delay. Okay.
Next up, correspondence. Anybody?
I received one from a resident that will likely become a zoning issue, but I'll get that over to Sherry and Karen, this week. I'm not 100% sure there's a zoning issue, but it may be something that we can address, but just a noise, home occupation question possibly. So over on Lafayette Road.
Okay. All right, unresolved business. First one was record retention. Sherry and I went over both of them prior to this meeting. We didn't have any changes on either one, the fire or the township, but I do have one, part that I wanna talk to you guys about. On the township side, page 8, if you guys, okay, I'll read it. It's under zoning, so the plats and maps, township land records, the retention period is appraised for historic value, media type is paper, and it does qualify for RC3, by the, local government board policy. Here's the issue. These developments come in, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and they give our zoning 5 copies, and they're massively huge. Should we write 1 copy in there, or can we just take it for granted that it's 1 copy and we get rid of the other 4 for filing? Because we do have to keep them. I mean, the room's full of all these duplicates. Yeah.
I don't know why I guess reach out to the prosecutor's office for clarification, but I don't know why we'd be required to keep duplicates of records as long as we have one or the original. Should there be an original version? I'm guessing they're all.
Right. I know Kieran and I talked about it a couple times, and we knew that record retention was coming up in December, so we just kind of waited to see what the board's thoughts were. I don't even see why we need to write 1 copy on there, as long as we have 1 copy. And just
Right, I would think that's pretty standard.
So there were no changes. Did you guys have anything that struck out that you wanted to discuss? No, I did not. All right. Well, why don't we vote and approve them then? Motion to approve the record retention schedule, RC2 for the township. I'll make the motion with no changes.
I'd say just to confirm, it's no changes from what it was last year.
No changes.
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, and then I'll make the motion for the record retention schedule, RC2 for the fire district, no changes.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries for both. All right. Request. Okay, before we get to the next one, I had called Kristen later, Kristen Rowling, admin assistant, had her add one on here that I totally forgot about. I think it was our last regular meeting. We had approved the insurance for the fire district, and then Barron Insurance, who's now Liberty, emailed us like 3 or 4 days later with new appraised values for the equipment. So I did reach out to her. I tagged you guys in on the email. Did you guys want to amend that to the new values? If you do, it could cost cost us an extra $3,425.
And just, I was saying, just to confirm, this is where the original quote was off of what what the insurer's estimated replacement costs were. And what we're talking about now is, what we had submitted as the fire district for what we actually want to declare as the replacement values, which are higher than what the insurer has listed.
Correct. We can,
Chief, how important do you think your values are compared to what theirs are? I mean, because that's what it really comes down to, right?
Right.
Do we want to insure them for more than what?
I mean, they're worth, like, to replace an engine right now, if you bought a brand new engine right now, it'd be close to $1 million. That's the way of the industry right now. The tanker is $500,000 replacement. I mean, all those, it's just the price of.
You probably don't have our declared values versus what their estimated values are.
The estimated values are like, 800,000 or.
Yeah,
something like
she
that.
did. They were like, if I remember correctly, it was like 15 to 20% less.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in about a month, but yeah.
But we don't have a pending deadline.
no, it's just prorated, so we wait another month or wait till January, February, take the chance and then it keeps going down. I mean, what we would own.
Right.
So,
We should probably make the decision sooner rather than later, but, you wanna wait till the
Well,
30th, the meeting on the 30th, just to get comfortable with it, or?
Let's
I mean,
do that. I mean, it's only a couple weeks away at this point.
Cause I do think it's worth looking, you know what I mean?
too. I'd like to keep weigh in on it.
Kristen, it's a special meeting, so you'll have to add that on. Okay, I'm not sure what the next one is. Request for assistance.
Okay, so our last meeting, Trustee Crowley had asked us to sign some letters to various members of the state, county, police department, sheriff, etc., requesting assistance regarding new evidence, so to speak, that had come about that was allegedly associated with Brian Maverick. Is that
Potentially, yeah.
correct? So I don't want to speak out of order, but we're trying to characterize.
That's fine.
So to just confirm and let everybody know what we're talking about, these were invoices, correct, from a vendor that the township hired back in 2016. And the vendor was Media 144, is the name of it.
Could you speak into the mic, please? Thank you.
Sorry. The township had hired a vendor named Media 144 to install, I think they were characterized as covert people cameras in the fire stations. Not this building, the one down at the corner, which is now the service department office, and the one in Chippewa, which is now county building. And so it appears that there were several invoices generated by Media 144, and I think they were all roughly like $3,000 and totaled up to several more for the project total. And I don't know that those were ever discussed in a public meeting at the time. I don't know if those expenses were approved at the time. And I didn't know exactly, one of the reasons I didn't want to sign the letters last time, I didn't know exactly where you were going with it, and I didn't know, I felt that I didn't know enough about what was going on, what the insinuations were, what the reality was. So since the last meeting, I actually went out and I contacted Media 144, and I asked, are these invoices, are they correct? Are they real and legitimate? And he said, absolutely not. They're not. They've been altered, doctored, call them what you will. So to give you a background on them, I didn't know anything about these invoices until like January of 2023. And one of the previous trustees submitted a public record request for him. He wanted everything from Media 144. And I think that was The first one was on January 18th. To then fiscal officer Laura Rubensall. And mind you, Laura Rubensall was not the fiscal officer at the time that these cameras were installed either. That was previous fiscal officer, Shirley Bailey. This is 2016. So the first initial request was, please consider this email an official public record request for all quotes, invoices, bills, and work orders from Media 144 provided to Lafayette Township from the initiation of business relationship to present day. So that was through January 2023, January 18th at the time. And Laura responded with some, an estimate from January 22, which was within a couple of weeks after Ty and I initially took office, and it was for the airphone repair on the front door. There's an airphone hitting your camera. And then there was some there's an estimate for that. And then payment detail from that. It was a, looks like about a airphone country repairs and doorbell and garage camera repair. And the total was $2,100. I believe that was probably discussed in a public meeting in January of 22. And then the next email came. And it was another email from the trustee. There should be an invoice for the initial install. I need a copy of that, please. And fiscal officer responded. This all came directly from UAN, and I went back to 2018, and there was nothing else. This is our fiscal officer, Laura, responding to the previous trustee. I checked the fire site as well. Any idea where it could be? This was before Laura, BL. And then the next email from the trustee was, I know it was before you. I don't believe it would have been on the fire side. Possibly reach out to Media 144 to get the invoice. Nothing on that. And then another email from the previous trustee. It would have been 2016 or 2017. And then it took some digging. Attached are the payments for Media 144 for 2016 and 17. I will check to see if we still have the invoices.
When was, can you just clarify, that email from Laura?
Yes.
When was that?
January 23rd.
Of 23.
23rd. So this was all, these emails have gone back and forth for a couple of days. There was one invoice for $25.95, another one for $1,100.
But you're reading those are the payment register
Yes.
details, not the actual invoices, correct?
Correct, payment register details. $3,000, $3,000, $1,485, and then a couple other $1,500 ones, totaling north of $16,000. And then she responded. She found some invoices finally, and this was on February 8th
Of what year?
of 2023. So it had taken a few weeks to dig this stuff up. And these are the invoices that she submitted as the public record request on February 8th. And then the trustee responded, thank you for this information. I can only imagine our previous fiscal officer, Ms. Shirley Bailey, had these filed. I know it can take hours of searching at times to figure out her filing system or lack thereof, as I have witnessed this myself multiple times searching for documents. So I took these invoices that she said, and I never knew about them. I don't think Ty ever knew about them until that day. Well, that's funny, but so I said, are these yours? I took them to the owner of Media 144. He said, yeah, absolutely not. These are not mine. I would never send this kind of shopping stuff to my clients. thing is the logo is written over the name of the document. The margins are kind of goofy and screwy. He's like, it's not even my font. He gave me a copy of an invoice from another customer at that time. These invoices are dated December of 2016, December 12th, through March 20th, 17, May 15th. So probably about close to a 6-month period, and they all kind of look the same and doctored in a way. And this is how it's supposed to look. You know, the logo is up here, not overwriting the. So he's like, no, these are definitely doctored. Oh, yeah. And so there's still been some insinuation online since our last meeting. Well, why wouldn't Trustee O'Neill sign the letters? And at the time, like I said, I didn't really know exactly everything. So now I've got confirmation from the vendor that, hey, no, these are not real. And I said, why would they have been sent to another address? And he's like, they wouldn't have. They would have gone right to. He remembered the project. He worked on it. He'd been to the facility. So no, they would have been on there. He unfortunately can't locate any of the hard copies from but I did ask him, would those have been emailed, possibly transmitted electronically back then? Yeah, they might have been, but they don't have anything hard copy wise. But they're going to look and see if maybe they were emailed to somebody at that time, which none of the fiscal officers or trustees at the time were using LafayetteTownship.com email addresses to conduct business. I don't know if they would have, if you'd have recipient addresses on them or not. They should still be public record as far as I'm concerned. I mean, if they came to a previous fiscal officer or trustee, they should have been printed off and put in here. So, but now I'm kind of of the opinion, this is a different story. This is not just ambiguous new evidence. This is like falsifying a public record. Would you guys agree with that? And I would be all for us making a motion to submit these to the Medina Police Department and or the Sheriff's Department.
I apologize.
He said
Well, I
can't
just,
find the hard copy, so he found someone else.
He found someone else from that time.
So what are you asking for?
well,
just to put
what I was gonna
additional
add is,
say,
since I brought it up, I did reach out myself, and somewhere in here, I apologize, I've got, the response that I received from, Chief Kinney, and, with Medina City PD. And I think he brought up a very, very good point, that the auditor's office maintains a special investigations unit with full law enforcement authority, including the ability to conduct forensic audits, issue subpoenas, and pursue criminal charges where appropriate. This specialized division routinely investigates financial misconduct within public agencies and coordinates with law enforcement and prosecutorial offices as necessary. So he did recommend that we reach out to them. I did actually reach out to SIU and receive a response, to which I wasn't able to provide any new information to them, but it sounds like now we may be able to. So I will forward this to both of you guys as well, because they did have an interest in ask for, the invoices.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, all I had to send them was what we had in our possession. Obviously, Trustee O'Neill's done some significant legwork since that meeting, which I greatly appreciate, so thank you. And we should submit those to SIU, I think would be the place to go, instead of, taking it to, I don't think the city PD is really gonna be in a position to help us with the question that we have. And then ultimately, it sounds like if the auditor's office, if their SIU division needs to, they can coordinate with whatever agency they need to, but that's what I
guess it was more like a falsification.
Yeah.
Official document.
Within the
Not necessarily a
auditor's office
financial
more-
crime or anything.
Correct.
I don't know.
Correct. I agree.
That's all. I wanted to bring that up.
Thank you.
So what you're asking is for the board to get on board and send it to get investigated. But
Yeah.
Justin just asked a month ago.
Not quite the same, I mean, that was
No, it's,
more, a little bit more ambiguous.
this is definitely more targeted to a specific request.
Talk about testimony from the vendor that he's
Yeah.
been.
Yeah, I mean, if the vendors will help, obviously,
Yeah.
clearly, yeah, absolutely. If they can provide us with something, that would be awesome. Yeah. But, did you get anything back from the sheriff or any? I know you said.
I received word back from, Keith Faber
Yeah.
and from Sharon Ray. But outside of that, those were the only responses that I received.
They were
For BCI, correct, yeah. And I left both copies of both of those down at the building.
That's what I was asking, because I read those.
Yeah, those are the only one that I hadn't added yet was, the letter from Chief King.
Yeah, no, see, that was good.
100%?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You gonna take the lead on that?
Sure.
Okay.
Hey, before we move off of unresolved, unless somebody else had something, I know we kind of briefly brought it up the last one, but Ty, I'm guessing you haven't heard anything additional from the auditor's office on new certificates or,
No,
for
I
being
was
able to do
wondering
the
if-
roll, no.
Oh, boy.
They're varied with everything, but I think in looking at, the financials, we're gonna start next year with $163,000 in the police fund to begin with. This past year, that levy over collected anyway, long story short, I don't know exactly the best mechanism for us to get the auditor's office to do that, but I'd like to see us only collect half of that police levy next year.
Oh, yeah, I would, absolutely agree. I was hoping that you were gonna come with some good news, but
They're buried with
I know.
all the stuff that they're doing, so I didn't wanna push Kristen too hard, Kristen Johnson at the auditor's office. But I do think that, given the way that we do it with the tax budget, is kind of, in an ideal world, if we'd had all this information in July when we did the tax budget, we could have communicated that to the auditor's office then and said, hey, we don't need to collect this full levy. I think if we just send something to the auditor's office that says, hey, we have sufficient funds to cover this if you only collect at half the voted millage, I think that's the best course forward for us. And I can work with Sherry on putting something together so that she can submit that to the county auditor. Like I said, I don't know for sure that it'll happen fast enough for them to be able to do it, but I think that's the best course of action for us to potentially be able to do that. And
Yeah, I would agree with you, but you just follow up with it and say, hey, here's our letter, but you need it.
on a
with
specific, yeah,
If you need a legislation on a resolution, we'll get that to you before the end of the year, but this is what we want to do.
so you're okay with, yeah, well, and I can take lead on doing that and see if just simply something from the township on a township letterhead basically saying that we don't need to collect it is good enough. If Kristen comes back with them needing more, we can have that ready to go for the December 30th meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or if we need it earlier, we could.
Well, sure, yeah, we could, because we could add it to the special meeting Friday, but I'll give her a call in the morning. I just wanted to make sure you guys are both on board with that before how they hear.
Absolutely. Okay, township health insurance, I'm sorry, new business, skipping right to it, township health insurance policy.
We had been discussing a number of ways maybe to kind of, address the increased costs and maybe make sure that we're offering the best policy. But one of the things, in looking back through everything that we've done, is we actually, part of the policy that's been in place that I don't think anybody was necessarily aware of is that we do offer the option for anybody that's eligible to be covered under the policy to take reimbursement if they have more cost-effective insurance elsewhere. So if we hire a full-time employee that, you know, is on a spousal plan or something along those lines, or buys private insurance, it's already been approved. It was actually, I sent you guys a copy, to have the prosecutor's office review everything, make sure it's still complied with, the Ohio Revised Code sections that authorize health insurance. So at this point, the only thing that I think I'd like to clarify is I sent you guys, you know, just kind of a generic, well, not even really generic, just here's what we should incorporate this within our employee handbook, so that anybody that is covered under a plan that's already in place, this isn't like new, this is just the process for anybody that would be eligible for reimbursement for their healthcare premiums instead of being on the township plan, can submit for reimbursement here. The other thing that I was looking at that I think would be something that would be beneficial to look at to help reduce costs to health insurance for the township in general is to look at offering employees a cash in lieu of benefits policy, but I didn't know what your guys' thoughts on it were. And the reason that it would be important to put it in place sooner rather than later is anything that we do legislatively can't impact anybody at this board. Now, obviously, you guys are at the end of your terms, but it wouldn't be something that would impact me, but it would impact anybody new coming in, and it would impact, obviously, any of our employees that we hire. And what it would be is that it allows an employee that would be eligible for health care, in addition, well, it would kind of be a replacement to this long term. This is what's already in place either way. But if we did a cash in lieu of benefits, it would allow the employee to take 25% of the cost of health insurance as like a cash payment, and then they go procure their own health insurance. So it saves the township 75% of the cost of health insurance to do that. They're pretty standard. I could have something ready to go for the 30th. But I guess there's two components of this. One, I think we need to put this into place now, just because it's a plan that's already out there, and it would apply to all employees. And then, what are your guys' thoughts on putting in a cash in lieu of benefits plan? You know, again, the next board can definitely look at it. The only thing is that it's not something that's available to them. So,
I think this should be amended to,
which one?
well, this should reference our township policy, not the health insurance.
That's what the
Okay,
yeah, the resolution 0126, and just to clarify, that's a resolution that was passed in 2001. So this is something that's been in place for 20 plus years.
But it wasn't put in the handbook.
Correct, and that's why, just with so many things, it's really something that's been, it should have been available to all employees for a long period of time.
But even the policy, I mean, ORC allows it. Our policy
Correct.
says maybe, correct? It's not a guarantee.
And that's the conversation.
Application.
Well, and that's the conversation they had with the prosecutor's office was around that language of may versus shall. And the question then becomes, though, is if it's a benefit that you offer, you're playing with fire if you sometimes approve it, sometimes, right? Like, I approve it for Bob, but I decline it for Jim. You know, you do have to have a policy kind of set forth, but this would be our stated policy for the process for an employee to submit for reimbursement. And then, like you said, yes, I mean, ultimately it would be up to the board to approve it. And this is currently more restrictive than what the cash in lieu of benefits plan is. That would be the reason why. Like, this is so old compared to like what the current statutes are, right? Like, our policy was in place more than 20 years ago, and they updated the Ohio Revised Code because the maximum reimbursement on here, the maximum annual reimbursement is $10,500 by our policy, which is significantly lower than what it could be. Right, exactly. So then the question becomes, you know, do you want to keep does the board want to, well, actually, I don't even know if the board, that would be another question for the prosecutor's office ultimately, is like, how much can you reimburse for cause you can only do a cash in lieu of benefits for up to 25%. So, can you do a, right, so like, round numbers, but I think our, family plan is like 27 or 28, currently, and then, 25% of that, 7. So this is actually greater than, you know what I mean, so like, but
That's a really good animal, that's not necessarily cash.
correct, they have to, exactly, you're right, cause a cash in lieu of benefits plan is simply straight, like, you're eligible for benefits, you don't take it, we write you a check, whereas this is, you do have to submit documentation that shows, I'm getting health insurance elsewhere, here's my invoices, everything like that, you can submit for reimbursement, and it is capped annually. But again, it's still an annual amount that's significantly less than what the cost of the township is for.
Well, I think the verbiage in it though, Justin, needs to be, we have to have what's gonna happen in a life-changing event. And then also, it should probably be paid out monthly because of that. Because if you give someone one for the whole year, and then 8 months later, they end up eating it because their spouse lost their job.
Are you talking about, like, in this situation, or are you talking about, like, the cash in lieu?
Well, the cash.
Yeah, that would be a separate animal, and that would be totally separate legislation if we were going to look at adopting that, because we would be changing the plan. This reimbursement, this is just, and that's why I sent all of the language to the prosecutor's office and had them review. Like, this just kind of updates the process for what we already have in place. The cash in lieu is kind of a separate animal. And I'm not 100% sure if that's something you guys want to tackle in the next 2 weeks, or if you want to leave it for the next board. That's perfectly fine.
I'm not interested in tackling the cash.
Okay.
But I don't find that to be a bad form, I think that's a
Okay.
good format.
In the process, yeah, they did. And you guys both got copied on the response, right? So I would just, then I would move the week.
Just real quick, well, to bring up Ty's scenario, let's say we have an employee and it's a single person, and then they suddenly have a family.
Okay.
Does that change things? Can they then decide, hey, I don't want, maybe my spouse's benefit, it's a life-changing event, so they would be eligible to accept insurance, more than just the,
So I guess let's talk to that scenario. They're the employee, single employee. They're currently on the plan, or they're currently not taking the plan before the life changing event.
let's say they're not taking the time, but
They're taking the reimbursement. Okay.
But let's say something happens that they have a baby, or like Tyson, maybe they run a spouse,
But then they
spouse
want
lost
to
their job.
join. But then they want to join the township insurance policy. I don't see why this would preclude them from doing that. They have to have that life event.
And that's why
that makes them eligible for joining the plan. But I
you
think
get the reimbursement on a monthly basis.
yeah, we'd probably want to put something in place that says like, hey, now that we've done this, it's, you need to submit for reimbursement within 90 days, or 60, whatever time.
Or just, for 2006, someone else, if they want to take the reimbursement portion, the township will pay them reimbursement on a monthly basis.
Oh yeah, you don't reimburse in advance. Is that what you were asking? Yeah, no, nothing ever gets paid in advance, because part of the process here is that proof of payment, the invoice and proof of payment have to be included, so that there's a verification process, and then the fiscal officer certifies that those documents were received, so that that basically becomes the bill that the township then pays for the reimbursement.
Well, and I think we need to, at the same identical time, we need to amend the handbook with that addition on there and make sure everyone gets complimented.
Does anybody have a Microsoft Word document of that where it can be altered? Because I was talking to Chris and it would be easier to do that, just have her retype it.
Just a PDF search, and we probably would need to.
She said she would. That way, anytime you have to change, so it can be certified.
Yeah, we should probably make that a priority.
Okay. So you want to add that? Is that what you said?
Yeah, we can do that for the meeting here on 30th. Unless you guys just want to incorporate this into the handbook. Now, like I said, it's really already policy. This is just the process for implementing the policy that's already in place.
I would have no problem approving this form right now.
Moving forward, right, what you're saying.
Correct. Yeah.
Starting, it's there, no one really know it, hasn't been practiced for 24 years, but moving forward.
This is how you take advantage of this is how you get the benefit that's been previously authorized.
Yes.
And then that way too, like you said, it'll be incorporated into the handbook as we bring new team members on. And then also, since we had been talking about the fact that, the staff members that we have now haven't all seen the handbook, I did make sure that everybody's got a copy of it. We actually had a couple of good feedback sessions. I think I copied you guys. Well, Karen copied you both on the email as well. So there's some things that I think need to be addressed too in the process of cleaning it up. So, that'll obviously be a little bit bigger project than what we're going to tackle tonight. But, having that, having everybody aware of it, I did have everybody just kind of sign acknowledging that they've seen it and that's been incorporated in their employee files. And I think that's just a good practice going forward. You bring somebody on, here's your handbook, you're signing that you at least are aware of this. Obviously, that's a living, breathing document too. That can change. Future boards change policies, amend things. So you're not necessarily, agreeing to anything other than you're agreeing that you've seen it. You've been given the handbook and an opportunity to know what's going on there.
This version.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. So we want to write that down for the 30th. Kristen, you got something else to add to it? Any other new business? No? All right. Well, let's get public comment going. Swear in tonight.
First two rows on.
Mark Frederick, 6146 West Smith Road, Medina, Ohio, 44256, United States of America, continent North America, planet Earth, Milky Way solar system. Even the Martians can find me. I don't have to hide from nobody. Here I am. You guys lost the election the day that you decided to stop this. To stop the people from having the right to speak out. When you tried shutting up the people, we're not going to have public comment no more. Just because you don't agree with it. Welcome to America.
We didn't stop having public comment? No.
We
One
tried.
meeting, no, we didn't. We merely implemented rules.
Well, whatever you did, you didn't want us
Factual
talking
corrections
no
in
more.
there, sir. You were correct.
Okay, thank you for correcting me, but you tried to shut up the people anyhow.
That was one meeting is when I
It didn't
talked to
work.
you about
One
it.
meeting we didn't hold it. We didn't stop public comment.
Well, guess what? We got that corrected now. Everything was bad about the past administration. The amazing thing is, some of them were elected for 24 years. Time after time after time after time after time, and I said it 6 times. And that's the thing. Why is it our tax rate is the highest tax rate in Medina County? You know why? Because somebody keeps putting levies on the ballot. And the other people keep passing them too.
Yeah.
But if we didn't put the levies on, we wouldn't be in that vote. So ultimately the saddle belongs on the jackals, not the horse. And another thing about our money, it's been bad management. Why is this building not yet paid off? The original plan, I'm not senile, I know you probably was. But the original plan was to have this paid off long ago. And it's still there. I hope that gets corrected too, along with the public policy copy. You know? We wasted a lot of money in doing things like that, you know? I have heard it said that this fire station has been turned into a picnic pavilion. I didn't say it, but I heard it and I agree. You know, lots of fun times here. Too bad. I will say thank you for investigating those fraudulent invoices. First I've ever heard about it, and I hope you don't drop the ball, whoever comes in here. Please follow through on that, for the good of our township. I got nothing gained to lose by it, but for the good of our township, which is why I come up here to talk about it. I got nothing out of this, other than make it a little bit fun. You know? I also have a question, is it criminal fraud that if you are hurt, fall off a ladder or something, to work in one place in your workman's compensation, but you're still good enough to go to work at someplace else? That sounds like maybe some funny business, like the invoices maybe, I don't know. And then yet, you want to go apply to someplace else. You know what I think? We asked for it or not, I'll tell you. I think the tail that wags the dog, you know what I was going to say, Demansky, I like my lines, they're pretty good, is headed for New Kent. Whether that's Brunswick or Brunswick Hills or wherever the heck else they apply out, don't matter to me. Well, I would like to say also, guys, can't let this go away, you know? I think it's only fitting that I give you guys a going away present the way I started, you know?
Thanks, Mark.
You're welcome.
We're not allowed to accept gifts.
If they're over what, $50 million? And the only reason I do this, I think that some people, oh man, you didn't cheat me, did you? You said it. Yeah, well, too much, real quick, I get out. I was fitting to say goodbye, just had that there. One of these times we talked about the Westfield monies, and I heard it said, let's ask Mark Frederick. When I heard it, I don't think I like the answer. I would also like to say, as a citizen, I request, and I think there's precedent to this, that any public official, hint, you, Justin, and swear on new trustees tonight. I would like to see that. And I can't let this go away either, you know?
No.
I gotta wave
5 minutes is up.
a final goodbye.
I'll give him some.
Final goodbye, you guys, you know? God bless
Thanks, Mark.
and good luck.
Sorry, I have no thought. Karen Schoonover, 7780 Sweet Road. I just wanted to, direct the comment you were discussing the reimbursement. That actually has used. That was used by trustee Nancy Shannon when she was in office, because she didn't receive health insurance through her spouse and did exactly as you were saying. Monthly, she would provide reimbursement to the fiscal, information to the fiscal officer and get reimbursement for her, health insurance.
Just got lost somewhere along the way. Thank you.
Just
Thanks,
saying,
Karen. Appreciate that.
you can remember some things.
Yeah, sure.
Hey, good evening. Wayne Harris, 5309 Columbia Road. Just two quick points. I don't know much about these invoice things. I know that a lot of people here have a lot of history that I don't know anything about it. But I'm hoping the trustees can clarify what we agreed to tonight. I was expecting kind of a motion or a vote or something. What did we agree to do?
On the invoices,
Yeah.
really just follow up with, having the investigation that's kind of already started continued. I mean, it's not really something that requires an action of the board. It was more just a chance for us to have a conversation on, make sure we're on the same page.
It just doesn't sound like something I want to see.
It won't.
Okay. The other question is, Chief, congratulations on the 20 paramedics that we have now. I was hoping you could provide some context for me, in terms of, you know, we have 20, we started with what, you said 7?
Well, we have 7 active, yeah, like
So-
active
so
paramedics, when I
20.
started.
Yeah, so 20, that sounds like a lot, but where is that against what we need or what the target plan is? Is that shy? Is that over? I mean, are we still have more to do? And before we answer, the other question is, you know, where are we against the plan, right? Whatever your plan is. And then if you can tell me real quick, what goes into that plan? What goes into that staffing plan? Is it you want to have X number of paramedics per shift times numbers of days? So I just want to know context around the numbers that you gave in your update.
Yes.
And that's all I have, and I'll let him answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
So ideally, we'd like to have a paramedic on each shift, which we do now. So if we have call-offs or anything else, now we have a pool of people that we're gonna have for those shifts. So 3 individuals on the department on the shift 24 hours a day. So that could be a paramedic, an EMT. Sometimes if we have dual paramedics on shift, we could field multiple calls. A lot of times we get back-to-back calls and we can't field the second call, or we need another medic. So if we have 2 medics on each shift, which sometimes we will, sometimes we won't, but we'll at least have a medic on every shift, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we potentially could have a second medic on every shift, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, on occasion, or kind of mix. We're gonna keep everybody's hours under the hours that they're supposed to be under. So sometimes we have paramedics right now, even to this day, they were paying over 38 hours a pay period or a week, because we don't have as many medics. Now that we have these 20 medics, we're not gonna have that problem anymore. We evened out. The fiscal officer could probably attest to that, and the previous fiscal officer, if you look at the pay and how it's paid out, for the past year or 2 years, you'll see that those hours have dropped significantly to level it out. You can only work 1,975 hours a year. A lot of times those numbers were very close when we didn't have all those paramedics.
So how many should we have?
So we should at least have 1. Ideally, I would like to see 2. So we can feel that.
We have 20. How many should we have?
So I'd like to bring the department to a full, we're gonna always have EMTs. We have EMTs that are essentially grandfathered, but every time I hire a new person, they're required to get EMT, unless there's somewhere they've already got experience in firefighting and they've been around a long time. Like, for example, the gentleman we just hired tonight, he's a 25-year firefighter. I wanna see that, but I also wanna see the new people coming in. They need to have their paramedic within 2 years of being here.
So to kind of help Chief, I think more in line with what you're asking. In a perfect world, if nothing ever was difficult, like, you know, scheduling, you would need 5 medics. And you could max out their 1970. And you could have a medic in the building 24/7. But again, that would be, they never had it scheduled, you know what I
And
mean?
never had a day off forever.
So that's why, to Chief's point, like, I mean, with 20, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but like, he's able to get a medic in the building all the time, pretty easily, without flirting with maxing out anybody's hours, and that's the point. Now, if we can get more, we'll take all the qualified medics that we can get, you know, because again, if you can staff more than 1, to Chief's point about, you know, a second call, you know, that's the reason why we staff 3 in the building, 3 team members in the building at least, and then typically Chief's here during the day, Assistant Chief Holzman's here. You know, if we get that second call that comes in, we can send a second unit and potentially a medic in that unit as well. And that's the goal, because again, that's delivering the highest level of service that we can for our residents.
We don't have a specific number that we're working towards. If we have a staffing plan, we don't say we need 21 to give us all give us all the shifts and the buffer that we need.
The hard
reason
part,
I ask that, I don't mean to cut you off, is that, you know, just wondering, are you always gonna be training somebody, always gonna be spending on it, are you, is it never ending, or is there just something we're working up to? Is there a definitive
Yes,
plan?
we will always train and we will always be replacing medics unless we make this place full-time. And I'm not saying I wanna do that, but that is that's the fact.
That's the
Because these
challenge.
paramedics that just graduated will get a full-time fire job.
So-
And as soon as they're making $95 to over $100,000 a year as a paramedic firefighter, they're not gonna work here. So we have to continue to train. It's a continual process and it'll always be ongoing. They're paying for their own school, but we are giving them the opportunity to work here and get the skills. The hope is they stay. The reality is, once they're making a certain amount of money, there's no reason for them to stay.
But that's also why Chief Force is hard, and that's why like what I was trying to say with the whole why the 20 number is it's difficult to answer your question with a finite number because some of that 20 have full-time jobs elsewhere,
They do.
and they pick up
Right.
shifts here, and so that's always going to be a part of the model, at least as it's currently constituted. Because to Chief's point, the only other option ultimately is to go to a full-time model. Do we hire enough, staff that this is their full-time job? And that comes with a completely different cost metric. So it's really hard to answer that question, with a hard set, this is the number that we need. But that's why I also think, Chief's Work as hard as he has and where we're at now with the 20 medics and bringing more in when we can, we can deliver that medic in the building all the time.
I just needed context, and I think that helps quite a bit, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Wayne, good question. Yeah, can I go up? Sure.
Hi, my name is George Starsky, 4137 Minor Drive. Sorry about my voice, I had surgery on my throat about 2 years ago for cancer, and of course, my voice hasn't come back yet. I'm going back to the reason why I'm here is because I'm doing a book on the Macron case, and I've been researching it for about 3 years. I want to thank the two of you for having me come to Jesus Long. But for you to say that you weren't aware of these documents until recently is just not true. I know Mr. Peroli has brought that to your attention. Justin, would you say about 1.5 years ago?
Well, I mean, we've been talking about those invoices since early 23. I don't know that.
I tried to authenticate them. Almost, what was it, like 2 years ago when you got them? Couldn't authenticate. And it really is a simple process.
I knew about them.
Check the address, and you knew they were false. Did somebody in your office send those via email?
Yes, like the former fiscal officer said.
Okay, and you didn't check into that law enforcement official here? It was done over the telecommunications. Little problem there, but I have a bigger question. Who had access to that file?
That's a good question.
Because there's one name that keeps coming up. I'm not going to mention him. Because he's the one I think did it. I'm going to tell you flat out, those were forgeries. And they were done to harm people. Maybe it's time for that kind of harm to stop. And the two of you should have stood up there a year ago and at least looked at that case. Because your wife's online all the time, Mr. Fullerton. She made some really weird comments about me, which I take as a compliment, really. It's impossible to insult me. Really it is. You guys could have taken a stand on this a long time ago. And people are being dragged through it. Why didn't you?
Good question.
Yes, you're the one who has to answer it, and I'm asking you.
I have no idea.
You have no idea why you're after that.
I would have no idea even how to answer your question. I wasn't involved with those invoices. How
Yeah, you
heck
were,
do
he
I
brought
know?
it to your attention.
I wasn't
We
involved
knew
with the
about these
invoices.
invoices before Justin was elected.
Yeah.
And yet you didn't check to see if they were authentic.
No. These invoices were 6-7 years old.
Agreed.
from
No, they
Lowe.
weren't. No, they were not.
Well,
Yes,
but
they
the
were.
dates
Yes, they were.
on them. Well, he's inferring that they were doctored later than the 16, 17 time frame that's is on. But just yeah. Anyway, sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt.
That's my problem.
Who has been drugged through the mud?
Hey, Mike, how you doing? Renee, how are you?
I just think
I don't know that Renee's been drugged through.
Actually, she has been.
Did she have access to them?
No, not over that thing. She's been right through the
Well,
mud.
that's
They
what
did a
I'm
podcast
I'm
about her.
referring to just,
Well, all of
those
this is the
invoices.
entire case of Brian Mackey. You know, and you guys used it. You could have done something to at least stop the, this nonsense about those cameras. That was forged. You guys could have taken action on it a long time ago. But I'm glad you're doing it
We'll
now.
hopefully get some answers now.
Yeah, we'll get some answers.
Better wait for them.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, George. Anybody else?
Hey guys, I'll have a question, but can I stay back here? So I don't have
just
to
a second. There's
hobble up
another
there?
person that wants to speak, and
Yeah.
then you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hi, Jenna King, 7441 Spencer Lake Road. I don't even know if it's a question or a comment, but, what's our opinion here on, I guess, getting mad at somebody and trying to get them in trouble for dogs barking with the zoning commissioner and then having the ASPCA called? Thoughts on that?
Are you assuming that I made that call?
I don't know why you would think I would assume that you made that call. I know you did. But hey, thank you for it.
Well, let's just say that's a
Everybody-
bold-faced lie by you.
It sure is not.
I
People
did
talk,
not.
sweetie, people talk. But just keep in mind,
Let's see.
you have to be my neighbor for the rest of your life.
That's right, and you as well. So.
Oh. To be your friend, we all are friends.
Anybody else? Barb,
Yeah, Barb Petrak, Ryan Road.
speak up just a little bit, Barb. I know you're Barb.
Okay, yeah, Barb Petrak, Ryan Road. The invoices that are being discussed here, evidently, since they were filed, they were paid.
Yes.
And so have the checks been looked at?
To the best of my knowledge, there are no questions over the legitimacy of the legitimacy of the expenses or whether or not they were paid. I do believe that was actually covered in one of the audits that's been done since then. So I don't know if that was exactly your question, but the only question that I think is going to be looked at now is the actual physical document that wound up being in the records room is not the invoice that the vendor.
Multiple.
Well, right.
Mm.
It is not the actual invoice that the vendor supplied to us. And
So,
it
but-
looks like it's probably just the header information that's potentially been doctored. Because it looks, well, what I'm saying is the invoices that we have, correct me if I'm wrong, but the invoices that we have do match up cost-wise. The dollars and cents add up,
I believe.
you know.
That was my
But-
question.
Right, like the money's all good. It was just potentially some of the address information that was played with to try to tell a different story, maybe. And that's what we're hoping to get looked at.
Do you have any idea what the reason would be to, I mean, if the charges were legitimate and, you know, paid, what would be the purpose of making a fraudulent invoice?
It would be complete speculation.
Okay.
I can talk to you about that later.
I'd like to hear.
I think we have to. Well, we can do that after.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I do. Renee Drake, 7187 Lake Road, Medina, Ohio, 44256. I just want to make that address clear because I do not live at 1150 Chapman Road, Suite 34, Medina, Ohio, 44256. Got my date of birth right, got my phone number, my home phone number right, but I don't use it anymore. Let's bring up a lie. Ty, you lied. You lied on a police report. I did not call your wife a fucking piece of shit.
Yes, you did.
Oh,
It's on
no,
record.
sir. You ask anybody who has listened to that video.
We
I
have it on
called her
recording.
a lying sack of shit, and it is on there. This word, right? You are a liar. So don't you ever say that you don't lie because you do. And your wife is just as bad.
Okay. That's all you got? Okay, good. Anybody else?
I do.
Yeah.
Um,
You good?
Linda Collins, 129 Shakes Road, Chipotle. I don't. This meeting, we're at an end of an era. What's behind us is behind us. And what, I think we tried to do our best, and maybe we did and maybe we didn't. But right now, I would like to address the people in the audience that were still alive in 1961 when John F. Kennedy took office. And his famous words were, ask not what you can do, what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. And I want that to resound on our tape. And all of us come together. Ty, Chris, you have 4 years of valuable information that could help us get through and make the changes that the people would like to see changed in this township. So, everybody, look in the mirror. You need something? Just look in the mirror and ask, what can you do to help out? Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Appreciate that. Anybody else? Okay, you wanna do that executive session in a few days?
Up to you guys.
Yeah,
Did you want to do this one after we close the meet, after we close the meeting? Okay, then let's do that. We can be, I think we can get through it fairly quickly.
I would agree.
And then, I would make a motion to enter executive session for hiring. It would be the 3 trustees, and we'll bring in trustee-elect, Gary Guar and Steve Demasi.
121. Roll call.
Corolla, yes?
O'Neill, yes?
Fullerton, yes, and it is 7:57.
I didn't come for the first 40 years.
Alright, we're back out of executive session, it's 8:25 PM. No decisions were made while we're in the executive session. I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Nope, actually, hey, real quick, before we do that, as we were coming in, Lieutenant Markham, you had asked about, since Rick is going to be departing on the 12th, in the interim, until we do hire a full-time, replacement, if you guys need anything, especially since I'm the police liaison, just give me a call.
Okay.
And we'll facilitate what needs to be.
So in the middle of the night for snow plowing, I'll call you or you want to call him?
Well, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, Nico and I will get in the truck and we'll come get you.
alright, dispatch will call you then.
No, we will make a hire quickly, but hopefully this is a very temporary solution. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. Did you make the motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
I will second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Alright. We got swearings in.
Yes, they're gonna do that. Do it now. Ms. Villar, will you join me? All right. If you would like to repeat after me. I, state your name.
I, Carrie Villar,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially
and that I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially
discharge the duties of the office of trustee of Lafayette Township, Medina County, Ohio,
discharge the duties of office of the trustee of Lafayette Township, Medina County, Ohio,
to the best of my ability and in the accordance with the laws of the State of Ohio, so help me God.
to the best of my ability in accordance with the laws of the State of Ohio, so help me God. Thank you for your time.
Oh.
Thank you for your time.
Good call.
Alright, Steve.
How are the kids? Not yet.
Not yet. We'll do it over here. I was told. Did you get your picture already?
No, I'll wait then. Get Steve.
Well, you won't.
Do Steve's framing and I'll do pictures after.
That's your time.
I want to steal this one.
Alright. I state your name.
I, Stephen Domonsky,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially discharge the duties
of the office. Go ahead.
of the office of trustee of Lafayette Township, Medina County, Ohio,
To the best of my ability and in accordance with the laws of the State of Ohio, so help me God.
to the best of my ability and in accordance with the laws of the State of Ohio, so help me God.
We'll see you guys.
One copy for you, we'll file the other one, we'll share that in your official file. We ever need to hold that.
That was good. The first time I was me too. And he gets so
I know.
I fell over. I love that guy. I'm fighting with him.
Permanent record.
You were a teacher. You know, like I am. Oh, God.